Joining us now on the program for our weekly mental health segment is Carrie Krawick, a therapist at the Birmingham Maple Clinic. Carrie, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, glad to have you on today. As we're talking, our main topic of conversation today will be about social media and some of the trends that come up on social media that can have harmful effects potentially on people, particularly on children. And one is a TikTok trend that's been popping up of late that's called lucky girl syndrome. Can you tell us about this, A, the trend, and B, some of the effects that it may be having on our kids?
Sure. Well, I think, it's a trend that's gained a ton of popularity. It's made many news and media appearances. And I don't know that it's necessarily bad. I guess like anything is right, like when it's taken into extreme form. So this idea of lucky girl syndrome has been around before, but it's really just this carrying this internal belief that that you are lucky and good things will happen to you. And then the thought is that they really do. And people are reporting on TikTok that in fact, in 30 days, they've had some positive things happen to them, and therefore it works. So I think one thing when it comes to kids is just, their belief in fantasy, and perhaps if it doesn't happen in 30 days or something, they feel like something is wrong with them and they're depleted. The truth is it probably does work, but there are lots of reasons why. So the idea is that if you believe something positive, it's also going to change the way you act and feel. So it's going to change your behaviors. You're going to feel more positive and confident. You're maybe going to do things that you wouldn't normally do, take some risks, respond more positively to people. And the end result is that you're going to start to feel better and better about the things that are happening around you. So the truth is it's working, but it's not working because you're lucky. It's actually working because you've changed. You've changed your behavior and you've changed your ways of relating.
And so it really does come down to positive affirmations. And we know that those positive affirmations, as you mentioned, can have a positive effect on you in your day-to-day life, especially if you have issues with anxiety or you have some self-esteem issues. Those positive affirmations that you're giving yourself within reason can help lift you up enough to kind of find that equilibrium. But at some point, especially with a trend like this, where the mindset kind of is, if I think therefore I am in this scenario, that can really set you up for a lot of disappointment down the road. If you're like you're saying, in 30 days, X, Y, and Z is going to happen and change my life, and then you get 30 days down the road, it doesn't happen. You do it again and again and again, and it doesn't happen because it's not necessarily all luck. That can have some negative effects too.
Sure, you and I have talked about this before. I guess it depends too on what the goals are. If your goals are very big and very vague, and then you don't meet them, people tend to become depressed or disappointed, feel ashamed. So if you have big goals that are vague, you tend to be more depressed setting those goals, and you tend to be more depressed as the results of failing them. But if your goals are very little, very small, very daily, you have a better chance of meeting them. This idea, like I said, the positive of this idea is maintaining that positivity beyond the deadline or beyond the goal, right? Or seeing, right, like even holding this mindset is just, even learning about this mindset is something that's fortunate for everyone today, because everybody will maybe take one little thing with them that's going to help them down the road. Like you said, yeah, there's different philosophies about believing, right? Believing what we call in therapy, or in the kind of the clinical world, we call it internal locus of control. So there's positives to believing you're responsible for your successes, and there's also downsides believing you're overly responsible for your failures. Again, there's positives in believing in luck, right? Good luck or bad luck, but there's also downsides because it takes out all personal responsibility, and it just feels like there's no pride. It just all feels like fate, or it all feels like good luck or bad luck. The best case scenario is to have a mix of both. Of course, some of the things that happen to us in our life can be weighed as good luck or bad luck, and some of them are about our choices, our behaviors, and things we've done, things that we could both have pride in, and things that probably should give us cause for pause and to reevaluate our behaviors.
We're joined on the program today by Carrie Krawick, a therapist at the Birmingham Maple Clinic. You can find more information on ways to get in contact with them for consultation on a number of different issues at birminghammaple.com. birminghammaple.com is their website for more information. And this really does go back to, especially on the family side, deciding on what kind of conversations you should have with your kids towards social media and the ways that social media is going to have an impact on them. Because let's face it, in today's age, kids are going to be on various social media, especially on TikTok, which is a favorite among younger people. And they're going to experience these sort of trends. They're going to start to maybe get in on them themselves, or want to get in on them themselves and sort of try to fit in. So where should those conversations begin in a family, and what should they really be focusing on as they're talking about use of social media, some of these social media trends, and how to safely participate for your physical and your mental health?
Sure. I mean, I think like anything, I often say to people, if you wouldn't pack your kids' bags and send them on an airport without knowing where they're going, who they're going to see, what they're going to spend, what they're going to do while they're there, are they going to be taken care of? You really shouldn't send them on our internet that way either, right? You need to have sort of a plan for what are you doing, where are you going, who are you seeing, what are you spending, all of those things. So knowing that who, what, where, when, and why is what we call supervision, right? And staying on top of it is what we call monitoring. So monitoring and supervision are two of the best things that parents can do. And it obviously changes based on a kid's age and their responsibility level. And often and their trust level, your trust in their behaviors and their choices. When parent trust is high, supervision can be lower. When parent trust is low, supervision must be higher. So parents will come up with their expectations for what their kids should be, like I said, who, what, where, when they should be engaging. And if the kids are outside of that, the parents then would set some consequences or revisit and troubleshoot as necessary. I mean, I think the parents staying connected to trends is really important. TikTok is the most popular now, but that doesn't mean it will stay that way, especially as many of us older fogies get on there. It will become less appealing to kids, and they will be on to something else, and they'll get there before us. So we have to know what it is. If you have young people in your life, maybe not even your own kids, just listen to the pulse of other people, nieces, nephews, teenagers, babysitters, whoever it may be. Get your information from someone younger than you about what's coming or what's cool, and then you can get there before your kids do and scope it out.
And on that note, when we particularly when we're discussing supervision versus monitoring, or supervision and monitoring together, that can impact your relationship with your kids, especially as they get older and they're seeking that independence and they're seeking that individuality that's not directly connected necessarily to their parents or guardians or other adults in their life. So balancing that too is a huge part in maintaining that trust with your kid and maintaining those lines of communication to be able to have these conversations about social media and its impact. So what suggestions do you have for parents in that regard to taper their monitoring and taper their supervision to a point that doesn't get invasive necessarily with their kids, but also isn't so relaxed that their kids are often in the wild west of social media with no supervision?
Sure. I mean, part of it is starting early and often just about what your expectations are in communication, even in a casual way. If we're looking, especially when the children are younger, hey, show me what you're looking at, or what are you interested in, or what are your friends talking about online? Having that be part of a fabric of your family, anyways, just as much as, hey, what happened at school today, or, what's up with this friend or that friend. Having those conversations across their lifetime is going to set you up so that when you need to have them at these other ages, it will feel very natural and not so abrupt or abrasive. Creating messages also from early on, about the phone and internet as part of the property of the household, right? And that the parents, and we've seen this, parents can be held responsible for what their kids are doing online or on devices that are owned and operated and have subscriptions or plans that are in the parents' names. So parents do have the right to say, hey, let me see what's going on there. Where kids will tell you, teenage kids especially, will say, well, this is my phone, right? Or my bedroom, or whatever they may say. And it's like, right, that's true to a point, and privacy should be respected to a point. But there should also be just even a casual expectation of, I am going to be occasionally checking in. So hand over your device and let me just see around what's on here. Like, let me into your room and let me see what's going on in here. It should be very normal and not so unexpected for your kids.
Yeah, I make the reference all the time when I'm just joking around with people about just how the internet has changed in the lives of kids. Because when I was a kid, I remember the commercials for, I'm a big sports fan, so they'd talk about sports teams commercials or sports leagues websites in these commercials, and they always say, make sure to ask your parents for permission before you access the internet. Whereas today, they've got the internet with them all the time, whether their parents are around or not. They're going to have access to the internet and to social media. We know in government that on government devices, social media like TikTok in particular has been becoming more and more banned in different states, including here in the state of Michigan, and that on the U.S. level, there are some discussions at the congressional level about whether or not there should be an overall ban of TikTok in the U.S. And that's not related to necessarily this subject. That's very much on a more political basis. But it connects to this because when parents see that their kids are running into issues on social media, whether it is cyberbullying or just the different kinds of negative influence that they can take from what they see and what they experience on these social media, at what point should parents be considering putting those banishments in place or putting those restrictions in place that are, maybe we shouldn't be having access to the social media at all?
Sure, like you and I have always talked about, right? Of course, intensity, frequency, and duration. If a kid is unable to meet their expectations, unable to finish homework, unable to go to sleep, because they're too connected, right? They cannot disconnect. I mean, certainly that would be a sign if it's causing them some sort of anxiety or depression, other interference. Of course, those would be signs. I mean, I think what we're hearing, you brought up something interesting that perhaps we didn't talk about. One of the downside, especially of TikTok, is there's a lot of people who are parlaying themselves as experts on whatever topic it may be, healthy eating or psychology or relationships or whatever it may be. And are we teaching our children and even ourselves as adults, are we informed about who is in fact a reputable source? What information and data are they using to explain their information, and should we be following them religiously, can we do our own little fact check to discern what of this is information is real or based in something science or empirically validated, and what of it can really just be discarded as somebody with a mic and a screen is just saying something.
Yeah, that's the great thing about social media is that anybody has a platform that can say what's on their mind. The bad thing about social media is that anyone has a platform and they can say whatever is on their mind. Carrie Krawick joins us on the program for our weekly mental health segment from the Birmingham Maple Clinic. You can find more information on their website at birminghammaple.com or join us each Thursday morning for our mental health segment on the show right here on the Megacast, and keep up to date with it on our on-demand page on civiccentertv.com. Carrie, before we let you go, anything else related to social media, to lucky girl syndrome, or these other trends that we're seeing on social media that would be important for our parents to be keeping in consideration, as well as our kids to be keeping in consideration?
I love, I wanted to share, if we could go back to luck, I wanted to share a story I share often with my clients. It's an ancient proverb. I can't even remember where I heard it, but it goes a little something like this. An old farmer has all of his cattle and livestock leave the farm, and all of the neighbors say, "Oh my God, this is so terrible for you. You're so unlucky." And he says, "Good luck, bad luck, who knows?" Then there's a flood in the region, and everyone says, "Oh my God, you're so lucky. All of your animals were saved." And he says, "Good luck, bad luck, who knows?" Then they come rushing back in. There's a stampede, and his son is injured. And they say, "Oh my God, this is terrible. You have such terrible luck. Your son's been injured." And he says, "Good luck, bad luck, who knows?" Then the military comes in and takes all the able sons, and they say, "Oh my gosh, you're so lucky. Your son didn't have to leave." And he says, "Good luck, bad luck, who knows?" The story keeps going on and on and on. And I love this. Good luck, bad luck, who knows is really the best way to approach luck. When something's happening to us, we're looking at a snapshot, not the whole film. So anything that's even bad is happening, we don't know how it will change us or how it will change the situation coming forward, and we can always use it. So when I think of luck, I just think good luck, bad luck, who knows is the best approach of all.
And that is a great way to conclude this conversation on lucky girl syndrome and other trends and information we're getting from TikTok that are impacting our kids and our families. Carrie, thank you as always for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.